The disaster in western North Carolina after Helene. There are areas that are just completely cut off. Days after the storm hit, many people still have no power. They don't have cell phone service. They're just abandoned and struggling right now in isolation. But amid this devastation, there are also these incredible stories of resilience that are emerging, like the story of this man, Sam Perkins. He walked 11 miles to reach his elderly parents' house, hiking along a heavily damaged road, carrying bottles of water and fresh food after he hadn't heard from them in 2 days. Sam Perkins joins us now. And Sam, I know so many of us, can try to understand the fear you had of not being able to reach your parents, knowing the devastation from the storm, and wondering if they're still alive. First off, how are your parents doing right now?
They're good. They are very much on an island. Where they are is it's not in a low-lying river area. It's up on a ridge, and so a lot of the roads are washed out, and there are landslides, and there's really not a route in or out by vehicle right now.
So they really are in isolation, and you were there. You have since left because you didn't want to take up the limited amount of resources they had. So take us back to the beginning of your journey. You couldn't reach your parents for 48 hours. You became concerned, not knowing whether they were dead or alive. What was that 11-mile hike to get to them like?
So I had done the math in my head and, figuring how long someone can go without water, nonetheless, if they need more immediate medical attention. And so at 48 hours, I decided I needed to try to get there. And the roads from the town at the bottom of the mountain, Marion, are closed. And there was a trooper blocking the highway there and said, if you want to walk, you can. And I had a backpack and filled up water, some food, supplies, a power bank for recharging phones, and just started trekking. And I was able to hitchhike with someone for a little bit of the ways at the bottom where the road was relatively clear until it wasn't. We hit a spot where the road had washed out. There was a really bad landslide. Ironically, there was a crew up from Florida helping the chainsaw, and at that point started a trek the rest of the way up the mountain to get to them, and eventually did. And my dad was out, trying to do what work he could with what juice his chainsaw had, and just was the greatest relief I've had in my life, and just hugged him as tight as I could, and bawled, and then went inside and found my mom and did the same.
I can't imagine how emotional that was, because as you're on this trek, you really thought maybe they didn't survive, right? And then you see them. I mean, bring us in more to that moment.
So on the trek up, it was concerning enough for folks who were right by a creek, and my parents are high enough away from the big creek by them that I figured they didn't get directly flooded, but I was worried about landslides, worried about trees, and I can't tell you how many landslides and collapsed roads and trees I had to cross to get to them. And so I kind of got more and more worried the more that I went up, because it just got worse and worse. I mean, there were undoubtedly tornadoes up there, and it was the most exhausting hike and kind of a crawl through a jungle gym of trees and landslides I've ever had to do. But I'm glad I did it, and I'm relieved to know they're okay, their neighbors are okay, and got a list of calls and needs, and kind of came back and didn't want to use up any of their water or food staying there. So I came back and did what I could from this end.
Wow, Sam Perkins, what a son. Oh my gosh. And what a story. Just the challenge of the physical challenge, the emotional challenge, and you did it, and you got to your parents, and they are okay, thankfully. We really appreciate you coming on to share your just amazing story, Sam.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I hope folks will keep this area in mind. This is a really big season typically for folks up there with leaf season. So when everything's back open, I really hope folks will, visit the whole region from Asheville to Boone, and especially this area of Little Switzerland.
Certainly, we hope so too. Sam, thank you.